John, thank you so much. It is lunchtime, so let's get over to the kitchen and say hello to ABC7 Culinary Director Judi Gallagher and find out what's for lunch today. Hi, Judi.
Well, hi there, Scott. Yes, it's countdown to Thanksgiving. Of course, Scott, you were teasing me. It was countdown to Thanksgiving in September for me. I love this holiday. It's my favorite. You know, when I was a child, my mother made that green bean casserole with canned cream of mushroom soup and those canned onion rings. And I used to love it. And then I got to this point where I thought, I don't love this. This tastes like chemicals. Alton Brown from the Food Network came up with the most genius recipe. We're gonna toss some fresh sliced onions into panko crumbs and flour, salt and pepper, roast them in the oven just to get them slightly crispy, little burnt edges. We're taking out our cast iron pan because it can go from stove right to oven. Fresh green beans, I've already blanched them and then immediately dropped them into a bath of ice water and drain so it stops the cooking process. Very important. So I'm going to add the mushrooms to the pan, and when you come back, we will saute it up, but good. We're taking that old green bean casserole and totally changing it to freshness. I've sauteed about 2 pounds of mostly button mushrooms, threw in a few shiitake and baby portobellos. Now let's get over to the onions. You know, there are better upscale brands of the French fried onion ring. If you want to omit this step, I kind of like this because it doesn't taste all fried. But here's what we do. We're going to take panko breadcrumbs, and we're going to take about 1/2 to 1/3 of a cup of flour. Then what we're going to do is just going to toss that around with our hands. I have a sheet pan already prepared that I've sprayed with food release. And then if you want to, you can just put a dab or two of butter on the pan and that will kind of drizzle over. But we want to give the onions a chance, even though they're not being dipped in anything. It's a dry breading that butter will come together and just give it a little something extra. So we're going to toss that twice, and then we're just going to spread it on the pan, seeing that I've sliced the onions fairly thin. The big pieces you're going to wait and put on a separate sheet pan separately, or just give them one more slice. There. Okay, so we've tossed it in this light crumb mixture, and I'm going to just put a little bit more on top. Salt and pepper, that's going in the oven. Oh, 15 or 20 minutes at a 400-degree temperature is a really good temperature to put those into. I already have one batch that's come out because we're going to mix that in, and they're going to look just like that. Little burnt on the edges. Ooh, I love that texture. Now, to the butter, I added salt, pepper, and some truffle salt. And I like getting the little small pan containers because that way they're nice and fresh. 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, and we'll mix that in. And let's get a little fresh thyme in there. We won't throw the twigs in, so we'll just start from the tip, the narrow tip, and pull down, and then you get your herbs just so. So we'll give this a saute for about, I'm going to say about 2 more minutes. And then we're going to start to make the sauce when we come back. Green beans are blanched, ready to go. I am almost ready to bring it to this whole new level, get the pan in the oven, and ooh, it's going to be so good. I'll be back in a few minutes to finish up. Scott, I know you're not a huge veggie fan, but you might kind of like this with the twist I'm doing. So now we've sauteed those delicious mushrooms with some good old-fashioned Irish butter because the holidays deserve the best. A little bit of fresh thyme, we have a little truffle salt. Oh, I love truffle salt, and some regular salt and pepper. So we're going to let the flour coat the mushrooms. See how we do that? That have been absorbed up in that mushroom liquid. So now we need to add some half and half, about 1/2 cup. And then we're going to get into some chicken stock or chicken broth. Be careful, use a good high quality brand that does not use MSG. Please read the labels, okay? Because that is just, you know, if you have a guest that has sensitivity to MSG, it's really going to throw their time off. So we're going to give this a moment just to cook down a little bit, as you can see. And perhaps just a teeny bit more flour. It's easier to get the flour in before you start getting the liquid so you don't get lumps. But as long as you're working really hard to move it along, oh yeah. Then a pinch of nutmeg, just a little to add that fall seasoning. Now the consistency right here is beautiful, right? And remember, it's homemade. Here are those crispy onions. The next batch is in the oven, and they are not fried, they are oven baked. And now we're gonna take these green beans that we blanched and then immediately stuck them into an ice bath. And we're gonna go ahead and toss that around. Now we're gonna take the onions, the leftover ones, out of the oven. I'm gonna make this just slightly thinner. Cut that down, maybe a half a cup more chicken stock, because remember, things thicken and they continue to thicken, okay? So here comes the fun part. Nothing like a cast iron pan to serve off of. And then we'll take the second batch of onions out. And we're just gonna kind of toss them, put them on the top a little bit. These are lightly browned, so not quite as charred as we have in the mixture, but we're gonna get some of those toasted panko crumbs right on top. Ooh la la, I just love it. It's going in the oven for 20 minutes, 425. It'll be bubbly and delicious. And now hopefully my mama approves that I modernized this recipe thanks to Alton Brown. We'll be back for a taste in just a moment. Hey, we're back.
Oh, we're back. Hi, everyone.
We're talking about be careful, it's hot in the oven
Steamy hot, yeah.
and steamy hot. Cast iron green bean casserole.
Ooh,
Trust me on this. Alton Brown is, by the way, is coming back. You'll see him on TV more. I love the man. He explains everything. I think this works perfectly with those onions that are not fried. They're oven crisped and layers of flavor, and add truffle salt. It'll do you good.
It's really good.
Thank you.
Recipe?
Recipe is on now. It's on mysuncoast.com, and click on the Suncoast view, I believe, and you will find the recipes and videos there.
Absolutely delicious. Judy,
Thank
thanks very
you.
much for sharing that. Delicious.
My pleasure.
Just in time for Thanksgiving. Scott?
Thank you both.